I don't know why, but I did. And then
So did you get it so you can ride it in the wintertime yet, or you say, well, there's no winter, so?
I got it so I could ride in the wintertime, but now that there's not a winter, I'm just gonna ride my regular bike tonight.
Winter's coming back tomorrow.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, then, I need the lake to refreeze, actually. I bought it because I wanted to ride it on the lake, and
Yeah,
it's not frozen enough for me to ride on the lake.
Someone
it's
said
not frozen enough to. I talked to a guy on the west end though last night, and he was still in his pickup, but he was gonna go out ice fishing.
I saw a guy jigging off the bridge with a regular open water pole, so I was
Right.
like, yep, nope, I'm not going.
Yeah,
over there.
there was a guy fishing. I told that guy, I said, there's a guy fishing under the bridge right now, but he's fishing from the shoreline.
Yeah.
It's open water.
No, I'm
But
not.
I watched them last year. They were fishing off the bridge and out of ways 30, 50 feet, I don't know. They were out there ice fishing. I mean, there was a group of them ice fishing. And there was a group of them on the bridge.
Yeah, that's not for me, no.
No.
I've got 3 quarters started.
They're ready to go.
Good afternoon, welcome to the Parks and Rec Bikes Trails Advisory Committee meeting. I don't think this group has met for several years since prior to my time, but we're ready to kick off and talk about some new things and see what progress has been on some old things. Terry?
All right.
have at it.
Welcome for you guys coming. If you want to just pull up the bike path city map that we got on there.
I can't see on the
Do you want this
No,
or actually?
the one that you had on the agenda, our actual bike map.
Okay.
I think Angel had it. Yeah, there you
screen.
go, right there.
Blocking.
No, you're
Okay.
I
It's
just-
hard to see the screen. I think it's easier to see on the TV sometimes.
So I wanted just to start with talking about, this is the current map that we currently have of all of our bike trails that are currently in town. And just want to start with just showing the current map. And this also has, like going around the lake, we have the blue lines, which are the share the road trails. And but I want to start with just the current bike trail map and the current trails that are through town. Haven't really, not a whole lot of changes to the
But I can see the
current
screen.
bike trails, but the new ones that we kind of have on the map, the trail that we finished this summer was down on Norway, if you want to go down by Weston. We finished that trail. That's on the north side of Norway from Burr Street all the way to Duff, which will tie in the Wesleyan Trail. If you just want to keep on
Yeah, keep
going
going.
south. So that trail that's in red, that trail was completed this summer. That will tie in the Wesleyan Trail in with the new bike trail on Burr Street. And then it also goes from Norway all the way down to, on Raleigh, all the way down to Cabela Drive. So that trail also ties in the Cabela Loop with that trail. And that trail's operational, open. We opened it up last fall and haven't heard any complaints or any issues, or just heard a lot of good stuff.
Other than the first day that it snowed, we forgot a short stretch.
Yeah, but it's, so that's the trail that we completed this last year.
So just a second, Terry, you missed a short stretch. Did you get notified that you missed a short stretch? or
By a
something?
resident along that stretch.
Yeah,
So somebody's using it then, right?
yep.
That's good.
Well, no.
I mean, that lets you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't because it wasn't being used. It was, the snow was still on there
Yeah.
from all the other trails that were cleaned, so we missed cleaning it.
Yeah, no, that's, at least you know it's being used then.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, sometimes.
No, we really have noticed Norway being used probably more than anything else, but it'll be a good connection point to all those. We got 3 different trails, loops in that area, and now we got one center path that will be able to connect 3 different bike systems altogether.
This was really kind of a fast food connection here.
Yeah, right. So, okay, with that, that's the current one trail that we have been working on, trying to get completed. I want to just zoom out a little bit. We're going to talk about share the road trails. So this group kind of decided to pick a couple sections in town where we're using the roadway as a share the road kind of facility. We painted 7th Street from Foster going all the way to Edgerton, and we painted logos in that section last summer. And we also painted Minnesota Street from basically 23rd Avenue all the way down to Havens. I guess, have you guys been using those routes? Have you seen the logos in the road, things like that? Have you heard any comments from the Share the Road kind of idea that we started with?
I received a lot of calls right when you painted them. I think there was a lot of confusion. I think a lot of people see the share the road thing on the side where there's a lane, right?
Yeah.
And since they were in the middle of the road, and then I explained to them, well, people park
Yeah.
there, so if you park a car over top of it, you would never see it.
Yeah.
It needs to be out a little farther. When I explained that, it was a little more, I think they understood a little bit better. I ride the one on 7th all the time, and I've ridden Minnesota. The only thing I noticed is that they haven't wintered well. On 7th, they're wearing off
Okay,
already, so, and we haven't even really received a lot of snow.
right. We
So-
tried to put them in the middle, between the wheel paths,
Yeah,
just so they wouldn't wear as much.
it seemed it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah,
If you look on 7th, I noticed the other day we were riding our bikes down it, and I was like, these are not, they might make it a year.
yeah. Now,
Is the paint actually wearing off, or is the paint dirty?
That's a good question. I guess.
See, when I drive on Minnesota, it just looks like they've gotten dirt up, they've gotten dirty.
and that
can
could be, because we haven't been cleaning streets, of course, with the weather, even
Right.
though. we
I'm
don't
just
have
wondering if a little rain might make it a little bit better.
Yeah, I guess.
You'll have to see.
I'll ride it tonight.
What we will be doing is we will be, we're gonna put up some signs, share the road signs. That was our next step. And, we're gonna be putting them probably like every other block or maybe every 3 blocks or something. It won't be every block, but it'll probably be like every 3 blocks. The one, like at the start of 7th and St. Foster, one at 7th and Main, one near 7th and Burr, and then one at 7th in Minnesota, just to give people more of a sense that this is share the road. We were in Pierre last week for APWA, and we were talking to some of the other towns, and they were telling us that people in other communities like the signs better than logos painted, because they could see it better, but it just gives them a little bit more awareness. So,
Does the DOT put out any informational materials that you could use for doing like a press release and some social media posts, website posts, so people understand? Who might not know
we
what
could,
share the road means?
I don't know if the DOT does, but
Somebody,
we could grab something from somebody or come up with
or
something.
steal from another city?
Yeah, yeah. The only other one that I really know in South Dakota that really does share the road is Sioux Falls, but Rapid City probably does some stuff.
Spearfish,
Okay.
big one.
Okay, so we'll check on
If
those.
that would help the people who don't
Yeah, I
know what it
think,
means.
I like that idea, I was thinking the same thing, that, or do we do a little thing on the paper that signs in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
It means that there may be bikes
Yeah.
in the middle of the road.
It's not just you
Yeah.
using the road,
We're
it's,
sharing,
yeah.
you're sharing like, right, if I'm reading you, like, you think, people think, well, you should be on the side.
I think that's where people typically see that, but that's when you have and I said, there's a difference between share the road and a bike lane.
yeah,
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is not a bike lane, this is share the road. And
Yeah.
Then they understood that, but when you did paint those on there, Terry, people noticed them right away, because I know that a lot of people asked me about them, because I don't know if they thought I was the one out there painting them. So I would get in trouble for that, so, but they did ask a lot of questions about it. I know they went to the bike shop a lot and asked questions there. so.
Yeah. No, we started getting a lot of calls because we've been talking about this thing for years, and we ran out of paint the year before because we had that shortage of paint. And we reserved some paint because I have been on them to try to get them painted. And we got some painted, and we really got a lot of calls like, wow, this is awesome. We've been wanting this, and we're glad for it. I says, well, we're going to be doing more of it, so be ready. So with that, Kevin, you want to just pan up a little bit? So the blue lines going around the lake, those are also share the road that this committee also approved. So those will be some areas we're going to work on this summer also. But our next step in the spring, we're going to be working on some signage, at least on the 2 routes on 7th and on Minnesota, just to get at least those 2 areas signed up. Any questions, I guess, about, while we're on topic, about share the road?
You put signs as well, Terry, on.
Well, yeah, we put signs also on the areas around the lake as we're getting painted, and then we'll sign them also.
I like the idea of them being more spaced out, because I remember one time we talked about them and they would be really close together.
Yeah,
And that seems like it'd be a
Yeah.
bit much.
yeah. No, they'll be at least every 3 to 5 blocks or so, but we'll place them in areas just after a main intersection, but we won't have them every block, every couple blocks. It'll be spaced out a little further. So,
Can I ask a question about the trail out by Cabela's?
yep. You want to pan it down?
You don't have to, it's a non-existent road yet. This is a twofold, I guess, just because I'm curious, and it would connect the Mitchell Tech Trail to the trail,
Yep.
which is just right there by the corner, by the bank.
Yep.
Is there any timeline to do that road going across the railroad tracks? I know they did the railroad track. So is that in this year?
It
or
is in this year.
For real this year?
For real.
It's
big.
I know, I've been hearing about this year.
Okay,
for a
so
while,
we'll talk
so-
about it a little bit.
Spruce,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it does go over the railroad tracks right now?
No, not yet,
Oh,
but the
okay.
railroad tracks have been
Yeah,
Right.
fixed so that they can.
so the state has money that's towards that program to redo the crossing and redo the signals. We're going to add extra signals at that location. It's been part of a huge project because there's a section of gas line that's in the way of the new crossing arms. And the railroad, it's a major project. So it's not just adding bike trails, but it's doing modifications to the crossing, which that got done. If we didn't get that done last year, we would have lost all of our funding. So we pushed the railroad to at least get the crossing done, therefore they could hold on to our federal funding. The project's been bid and awarded to Rex Winkle Concrete. The plan is to start in May, once school is out. And the plan would be to have it back open before school starts up again in August.
Is that just to the entrance, like one lane?
Yeah, we're going, so we're extending basically the 5 lanes all the way up to the first entrance going into MTO, going into the amphitheater. And the reason of that is so we could extend the roadway and then we'll taper it after that. We will extend the bike trail on the north side. We'll put in a center kind of a curved island across the railroad tracks for what's called a point of refuge and for a place to put signals for the railroad crossing. And therefore, once we get that open, then we will open up 2 left turn lanes on Burr Street to come onto Spruce instead of just the center turn lane. So it's just a multi-phase project that'll all be happening at the same time. But one of the things that's really put a hold on it is the gas line. The gas line, it was going to be like $1 million kind of replacement because part of the gas line is in the way. But now there's still some weird stuff going on because I think it's Northern Natural Gas. Northern Natural Gas owns that line, but now they're giving it or transferring it over to Northwestern Energy. So they deal with the issue, and they're good to work with, so we'll be able to work with them on cutting out where that pedestal goes and kind of rerouting part of that line. So yes, that line is, we're hoping to have that part of that project completed this summer, and that bike trail will be connected again. Now,
We have a lot of students that are, I mean, they walk back and forth to different places over
Yeah.
in the apartments. Some bike, but I'd say it's probably gonna be more foot traffic.
yeah. Now, I want to talk a little bit while we got the time when we're talking about this project, because you're probably going to see complaints. You're probably going to be questioning why we built the trail the way we did. But as part of roadway safety at a railroad crossing, we cannot have the trail just stay consistently going straight across the railroad tracks, okay? So you're going to come up to basically like 90 degrees. You're going to come up to a 90 degrees, you're going to go, say, to the north 90 degrees, over again.
How far?
Because, like 30 feet. Because the railroad doesn't want you, the railroad wants you to stop and look for the railroad to be crossing. So the way we had to modify the plans is you are going straight down Spruce Street. You're going to be coming up to a 90 degree point where you got to move, jump over, and then come back around.
It's just an obstacle.
It is,
It's
but
okay.
it's a way, it's a safer way to cross, and it's a way that they will at least have to
Pay attention.
get off their bike and turn, or move around and turn like a little obstacle.
I
But
don't know, but
I don't know if you will, but just in case you do, this is what we had to do, and as part of railroad safety and design, as part of putting a bike trail across the railroad crossing. So. All right, so with that, let's move into new bike trails. So, can you just zoom out just a hair? So this summer, it'll be a two-phase project on Highway 37 from basically the bypass all the way to National Guard Road. The DOT will be constructing a new bike trail on the west side of Highway 37 from basically the bypass going all the way up to National Guard Road. West side, we will be constructing a separate spillway bridge, so a bridge that'll go over the spillway. The bike trail in the area of the lake will follow the earthen dam top of slope top that's there now that our mountain bike trail kind of follows. And then it'll keep that same path, go over the spillway at that point, and then we'll come up in that park area and continue. The trail will go through Kippis Park, and then it'll come up kind of by the rodeo grounds. It won't follow the highway everywhere. It'll follow it most of the way except for going through the park, and then it'll come up between the church and the rodeo grounds, follow that open area, and then it'll follow
Will it kind
The
of follow
highway.
the old 37?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that trail is. The north, so basically from the bridge, the spillway bridge to the north, that'll be the section that'll be built first. They'll be built this year. And then from the bridge going south, that'll be built next year. And then if you want to zoom in a little bit closer to the bypass in Maine, Kevin?
So you think they'll get the bridge in this year, Terry?
Yeah.
For this road?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's gonna be cool. The bypass.
Well, that's the plan.
Maine and bypass. I don't know how you do that left-handed. You're just very good. Okay, so then after that, as a future project, we will build a bike trail from Main Street going over to Minnesota on the north side of the road. Basically there where SPN is in that open lot. So then that'll tie the bike trail crossing at Minnesota and the bypass over to Main Street. So that's that red line that's shown on the north side, down right there. That'll be done at a future point, but we need to get the bike trail on the highway done first. So just as a heads up, that is coming down the road, I think in a couple of years, but it's in the works. We are also looking at going around the curve by Mitchell Christian to tie into 15th. So that will be another future trail that we're looking at. That way you're not going in front of those residential houses on Minnesota by 16th, 17th, and 18th, and there'll be that loop that goes around that curve that'll tie into Minnesota.
So is that like your project, or is it a DOT?
That's a DOT project.
Okay.
Yeah, but we requested the DOT to do it as part of creating, DOT is working on ways to improve ADA facilities throughout the city. And I asked if the DOT would be willing to build a bike trail along there, and it sounds like it's taken. So they're working on plans right now. I'm thinking it's in a couple years. So, okay, the next area, then does anybody got any more questions about these trails?
When are those being done,
I think in about 3 years.
both of those?
Yeah, both of those.
Oh, so you think they'll both come basically at the same time?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
it's one project,
Okay.
so. Okay, the other one, I have a set of plans that I could bring up, but I think we'll start with an aerial first. So if you want to go to that aerial view of that other, I think it's your next tab up there on the right, Kevin, because you already have pulled up. Okay, we're working on a EDA jetty. I think you guys have heard about the jetty project. As part of that, we're gonna, and you could probably pan over to Franks Bay, because we'll be starting there. So, this project will be bid out probably in a month or so, but we're building a jetty that's over there between like the West End boat ramp and kind of the tip of that shoreline going to the west. But we're building a bike trail from Franks Bay, and it's kind of, yeah, it is. But anyway, it'll go from Franks Bay basically all the way around the lake to the West End boat ramp. It'll be a concrete trail, 8 feet wide.
West End Bridge, right?
West End Bridge.
Yeah.
Did I say
You
boat
said
ramp?
boat ramp.
Okay, yeah. So it'll start at Franks Bay, which is right there where the cursor is. And then it'll basically follow that old, if you give me the,
I can park.
can you share? Okay. So basically, here's the Franks Bay, and here's where that parking lot is right here. So it'll come up from this parking lot, it'll follow this cursor around like this. It'll follow that old trail, coming along here, come up to here. It'll come over here, it'll cross over right here, come up and we'll follow this trail up to here. Okay? And then we'll come back and we'll talk about the jetty a little bit. It'll come up through here, along here, through this way. We're coming in along here.
Above where the cable is.
Yeah,
So it's gonna stay where the flags are at, where you and I
yeah,
talked.
where the flags are.
So, for the guys to know, it's gonna stay on the lake side of the cable. Any place there's a cable where, stay inside the parking lots, it's gonna be closer to the lake and cabled off. right?
Yeah. Wait, so,
If we have to move the cable slightly to
It-
accommodate.
Some places you're gonna
Based
have to
on
move.
grade,
Yeah,
we'll do
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
and there might be some areas we take out the cable, might not put the cable back.
okay.
So we're just gonna evaluate it and see.
But that, because everybody's kind of knows where that cable's
Yeah,
at. So
yeah.
they know more of where that's gonna follow.
Yeah.
As it follows along the road.
So it'll come across, basically it'll stay along here. You guys got that switchback? I think it's about right in
Yep,
here.
keep going, you're up a little farther. You
Oh,
go
right here?
there. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna basically, some of that switchback will be demoed, and we'll have to put in a rock retaining wall just to build that up in order to build our trail.
We should be able to just tighten that up, I think.
Dwight and I have kind of gone through it in detail, and we'll be able to make it work.
Yeah, we'll make something work in there.
So then it'll just continue on along here, come in through here, and then depending on how our funding goes, the plan is to maybe stop here, but the plans have it continued on to come through here and tie on to the West End Bridge, where that trail starts here and then it goes, it's that asphalt trail that goes all the way around the lake. It ends up at, it keeps on going all the way around here.
Is this sidewalk or asphalt? This
It's
is
all
sidewalk.
concrete, yeah, all
And
sidewalk.
Jerry, that's federally funded, or is that?
It's a 50/50 grant, so it's a total of a $2 million project, and the EDA is paying for $1 million of it.
But part of that's the jetty, correct?
Right,
In
the
$2
jetty
million?
and the bike path.
Yeah.
And we added another 500,000 in the 2024 budget, just anticipating the costs are gonna go up. So,
So
right
the-
now, if it's approved as it was originally proposed, it would be a 50/50 split.
And again, you'd be getting that when, if it all was?
This summer,
The trail this summer, not the jetty.
right.
Yeah, the trails
I
first.
think it's a 2-year project.
And so what we're gonna have to do whenever you get the contractor in is, because it'll intersect our trail in about 7 spots, a little bit. And we'll just have to, as they're doing their work, then we're gonna have to move our trail some. So we'll just have to work together with
Yeah.
them to where they're going and where we can go.
So will you?
And they'll probably have some extra dirt that they can shove to where we can cover up.
So will you still continue to cross over in certain places?
There's only gonna be like 1 or 2 crossovers in there.
So,
One of the places is gonna be where we're gonna need, so we have where the S curve is at. We will have, as you get close, so where the trees are at, move your, right in there somewhere. Keep going up, Terry. So we go up right about where we cross to go to cross the fire steel. To the north, there's a culvert. They're gonna come over the culvert and probably go about where our trail is at. So we'll have to move our trails farther into the trees there. And then when they come back Frank's Bay, where our trail is right alongside the road, in the trees, we'll have to move farther into, and the mayor has wanted to put, help alleviate that slough, put some dirt in there. So when they fill that up a little bit, we'll just move the trail in and we'll still be fine.
We're talking about this one right here.
Right.
Well, in some places, you're just gonna have to ride up on the pave for a little bit too.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is, as this is getting done, we can probably make our trail actually nicer
Yeah.
in all of this, but we'll have to move it a ways, because they're gonna need to go right where that trail is.
Yeah, and there's some spots, when Dwight and I looked at it originally, there's some spots like here where our new path is gonna go right where your guys' trail is. And do you redo your trail or just follow our concrete bike trail?
And then cut it.
And just cut in wherever, like, that's gonna be one, this is another one, so our new trail is gonna be on top of where you guys are riding right now.
That's gravel now.
Do you use?
We wouldn't change that at
There's a
all.
single track piece above that, so.
The other one would be this one, this trail, where you got that trail coming through here. Our new trail is gonna be right on top of that.
We've got one lower there.
Well, we're lower and higher, so you're gonna basically be where we used to ride.
Yeah, that's a-
More than where we do now.
This is nothing but just making it all better.
Yeah, it
This
is.
is what that is.
This'll be, super imaginable once this is done. Just seeing this concrete trail coming
Right.
all the way through there and then having your guys' trail adjacent and being able to get off road or whatever, it'll be even
People can
better.
jump in and off.
Yeah.
Well, and the nice thing about the concrete trail is, like right now, it's too hard to be on those.
Yeah,
That was like in Fire Steel yesterday, it's too muddy. But now you have a place that you can be and not be it, where the people don't want to be on the road.
yeah.
I started to mention those couple of crossovers that they'll still be, will you make certain that they're maintained in terms of the approach to each of those where you actually hit the concrete?
Sure.
So they stay filled in with.
Yeah, we'll between, when they're getting done and when we come in, we'll figure that out. Because yes, and I know what you're talking
Even if
about.
there's a slight wood ramp going up to each side, just to.
Right, right. Yeah, whatever. We'll figure something out.
This is probably the biggest, probably not the biggest, but one of the key reasons why I wanted to get together and fill you in on this project, because Dwight and I have been working quite a bit on it, along with all city staff. And we're gonna be bidding it here in a month or so, but this will be a big deal. And it'll be really nice to see this project being done.
That is so cool, Vivian. That's gonna be.
So there's grant funding available again from the state, and the last that was applied for, there was lighting put in at Dry Run Creek. Thoughts from this group on lighting that from Frank's Bay to the west end?
Or would you prefer to put it on another trail as far as lighting?
I'd want to think about that for a bit.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm just, we're on Dry Run Creek, I can see you're in town, you're where people are where you're gonna be. You know, there's a group
I know it's
that
like-
rides at night, but everybody's got lights and you ride the trails and so I mean, it'd be more for, the lighting is more for walkers, in my opinion.
But the lights will also attract bugs, so.
Right.
Is there a way to take that funding for the lights and keep pouring concrete? Or does it have to go towards,
It's got a dollar amount of only like $250,000. That's the one you're looking at, right? Yeah. It's a small number.
$250,000?
That's
Yeah,
about-
that's a
Yeah,
small
I
number.
understand it's a small number. That's still kind of a large number.
Yeah,
Are lights required?
no.
So I just asked the question.
yeah.
it depends on if you want people out there later at night.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a,
Well, you know, in a little bit, because it actually says it on Dry Run Creek, if you go to the kiosk, at least the one on Minnesota Street, that it is closed, you know, your park's closed at 11 o'clock. And I'm like, well, what do you got lights on? If it closes at 11 o'clock.
No.
I think that's a better thing to wait and see after the jetty's in place
Yeah.
and what the use looks like, because then there might be, you know,
Right,
a reason for it at that point.
There'll be another cycle at some point.
Yeah.
well, I know at one point there was a plan, and I don't know where the plan is with the jetty. They were gonna put cabins maybe out there at some point. I know that's way down the road possibly. At that point, you maybe would want
Right.
lights out there. But for the bikers, I think I'm with the white. I mean, the majority of us you have to run lights anyway, because you gotta run on the road at some point to get home. It wouldn't probably be as important to us as it would be the.
So we added the lights at Dry Run Creek Park. And that's really made a big difference.
You get more kids at Dry Run.
Yeah.
You know, that's good for them.
Yeah.
And walkers.
And walkers.
So what we could use that,
Yeah, 9 months out of the year when it's dark. So,
we could use that money towards other lighting projects, or we could use it towards turning in some of our gravel trails, like the one on 23rd and going on the railroad tracks, or on 23rd and turn it into pavement.
I would go that route
That's what
over
I'm thinking.
the lighting. I mean, that'd be my first choice. Because finishing it along 23rd Street, I think would be,
Yeah.
to me, is big. Because I've walked, I was riding on the gravel part of 23rd, and there was a lady walking her dog on the shoulder of 23rd. And I said, if this was paved over here, would you be over here? She said, absolutely.
Yeah, we get a lot of complaints too, because the rock is so big and.
Right.
Yeah. I vote we put it in payment.
Well, I wonder if you start putting lights out there, they expect you to have all the trails lit.
Well, there are some that have already said that, I hear.
Yeah.
And then hold on.
So I'd kind of like to avoid that.
So we would probably
Be
start
out there in the dark, be out there in the dark.
where the bike trail ends with pavement here going in Pebble Beach,
Yep,
and we would probably get this done first.
yep.
We are moving this lift station that's over here, over on this side. Once we do that, we'll finish this off and could just, I suppose, keep working ourselves this way. Unless you guys see a different point of starting on the other end and working south.
No, you're correct.
Start at
23rd
this
is where
end.
you're gonna get your most usage,
Yeah,
especially with, heck, there's gonna be more and more building right there.
right,
And you have those apartments.
yeah,
And if you, Vantage Point, you didn't, but at least Vantage Point really uses that, and they might go farther if it was paved farther.
yeah. Okay,
So last year, can I have the mouse back for
Yep.
a second? I happened to be riding or driving along here, and there was a guy parked in his pickup truck along the trail on the gravel, unloading into the apartment. Well, we could have put only a 2-inch lift, you end up with someone with a pickup truck on it. Obviously, we do that in park too once in a
Right,
while, but it's not
right.
gonna be regular street traffic, it's just a note.
yeah, we do have signs saying, what is it, non-motorized
Yep.
vehicles.
Or authorized motorized
Yeah.
vehicles only.
Well, eventually the problem that's gonna have to be addressed is you have the garages there
Yeah.
for the, and they push the snow right
Right.
on the trail.
Right,
Right, and that's still sitting there as of last week.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll just be, because obviously that it is city property. right?
yeah. Does anybody else have any bike trail committee topics you'd like to talk about?
Okay.
You're talking about the hard surface stuff?
Anything?
Are you talking about as we go down and?
I'm sorry I haven't been following the agenda, but is there
No.
anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well,
This is your time, Dwight.
yeah,
You
well,
don't want
okay,
this.
one of the things, we started in 5 or 6 years ago, we were gonna do some stuff for a skills farm out somewhere. And it was gonna be at the West End Boat Ramp. Were you involved in any of that,
A
Clayton?
little bit.
So, but we ended up, well, it was one of those really late springs, things went away. We actually had a person that would have donated enough money to take care of it. But by the time we got back to it, all of a sudden, all the stuff was gonna happen at the boat ramp. The jetty and stuff was starting to come in, and at that time talked about bringing, another way into the boat ramp, which would have cut through there. So it all got canned. But I think that's something that would be a good thing to bring back up, is to go back to do something for Skills Farm. And it
Would you
be-
put it over in this area, or?
No, I wouldn't now with all the stuff that's going on, and where we made the jumps off of Windy Point,
Hmm.
would be more in that area. At least that'd be my idea. It's something that now hasn't been talked about for quite a while, just because everything got,
Because it'd probably be better to add to our mini skills park that we kind of have here. and
right, you know, because we have put in rock garden with it, we have the jumps that are there, and then just be to put some more different skills in there.
Where are the jumps at?
So if you go, so there's 2 of them. Okay, go, keep right there. Can you see that line going down? There's a line of jumps right there.
Okay.
Yep.
The
And now,
the upper one is the jumps, the lower one's just the trail.
yep. So you come with, right, no, that's a trail.
That's
Those are the
jumps
jumps
right
right there. Then if you go farther back to the east,
Good at that,
Oh, thank you.
okay, if you can see where that curves around in there, there's
Yeah.
jumps in there too.
Okay.
And then there's kind of, I can see it, but there's also off towards the lake a little bit from those, there is like a rock garden trail.
Okay.
So somewhere, and we talked, and if you can see where the trail, if you follow around a little bit, the trail hooks, you go back towards Windy Point. Right, look back the other way a little bit. Now go straight up with your arrow. Okay, you see there's a trail that goes around in there, there's some drops. So maybe in that spot, to put some whatever, I mean, it's kind of whatever guys come up
Because
with.
people aren't walking down there using it for anything else, it's basically a bike trail.
The walkers, there's walkers that ride the regular trail, but these are side trails. There's always ride around, so you don't, I mean, my wife is not gonna ride off of, on the rock garden
Right.
or well, any of it. She's gonna ride any of it that's not safe. Like tree
So-
roots.
Once we lost putting the skills park in, what we did was, we ended up doing these jumps. Well, his son Jaden was around, that's why the jumps got put in. Rock garden, same way. We put a teeter-totter in, and that's just kind of along the trail. In Franks Bay area, we put logs that you ride over, that'll go away this year. So I'm thinking, we've never really concentrated it, we just kind of added this and that. But if we actually had a place, and one of the things, and nobody knows if we're gonna do anything with the lake. And the proposal was that if you have the spoil site in Fire Steel, that there would be some bike stuff,
Yeah.
sledding hill and everything added. This would be in that same area, kind of, you know. When we put the pump track in, can you put a skills park there? There's no place to put it.
No.
So that's why everything's kind of got, and where the jumps and everything, when Nathan was here, we went in and asked, and he said, yeah, let's, so kind of got started over here. But I think if we want to go, if we could get an area designated, go ahead, use this area, and then we can kind of come in and say, this is what we want to do, at some meeting, we can get together and say, this is what we want to put together, and you can say, well, maybe not, or yes, that's fine, some of the things that they want in skills parks, could be a little sketchy, I guess.
They have, so Cuyuna has 3 different levels of skills park that they put in there. And one of them, going back to kind of my wife, she's, I would say, a very entry level rider. And she rides what is considered a yellow trail there and loves it. The rest of them have gaps. We're not talking about gaps here just because one, we don't have the elevation change to do a gap, but, they don't have to be big things. Like the teeter-totter would be considered an entry level. Maybe an entry level.
Well, as wide as it is, the way we built it
Yeah,
now.
as wide as it is, and then there's just little things like riding wood, like narrows, skinnies they call them. You could do some of those things. You could do ride-offs, like it looks like a little dock. You drop like 2
It's
feet.
basically a drop.
Yeah.
And you
They
can
have
start
those
them
things.
low and get them,
Yeah.
catch those shots.
Didn't Brookings just do another one?
Yeah, they have some actually pretty cool ride-offs there, so.
What do you do, come from the opposite direction?
You can't come in the opposite direction.
You can actually build some of them, if now, you're not building them out of wood, you're gonna be
Right.
building them out of rock, but you can build them so people that know how to do it can ride it the opposite way.
Yeah.
But now you have a rock that's like this and one where you come in.
And they would all be off of the regular trail, so if you were riding the regular trail, you could ride around all of it, just like you can now.
So,
We'll have a lot more direction after June, I think.
Then I guess, Jared, the only other comment I would have is, we maybe talked a couple of times about it, is coming off Cemetery to cross over to the,
Yeah, let's talk about that.
a lot of people come through there, it seems like, it just.
We talked about that too with cemetery staff in terms of how it's not a marked intersection and how people would just launch from the cemetery going out onto.
so there's a lot of places that I've been, because seeing how we've talked about this, and so you make it so you can't. You cannot do that. And so you have to go into it like this and turn. You probably cannot ride a bicycle through it. You would have to get off and push it through. So now you're off your bike. Then it would be really hard for scooters to want to go shooting through there. Because I know what Terry and I talked about was, and maybe it was you and I, that having it, you have people going through the cemetery and they're loud and they're, doing all that. But if you really cut that down to
Or a
where,
funeral type of thing.
right,
So Stephanie will give you a little bit. Have you heard about this? So this is the Catholic section of the cemetery. There's a fence along here, and there was an opening.
I was like, I didn't think there was, is there an opening there?
There is an opening.
It's a barricaded opening.
It was open, but then I think it got closed up because what was happening, there's a lot of people that bike through here.
Yeah.
This is kind of fun or whatever. They're coming through here, crossing over so they could get over here, but they weren't, kids were not watching. So when I got asked about it, and I'm gonna go back to my ADA requirements that I follow, is this would be called kind of a mid-block crossing.
Yeah,
And we don't like those because they're not safe.
right.
So that's the reason why I told Dwight that this is a shared road use path. I would hate for the city to put an actual crosswalk here just because it's not safe. You're coming over a hill, down on a crest, and its visibility is not great. Now, if you were to create a way to where they would have to get off their bike and look, maybe, but I don't think they'll look. That's why I still like the idea that you come down here, this is gonna be share the road again. Where we're gonna have the signs, we're gonna have the logos in the road. This is how I'd prefer to do it. That's and I hate to burst your bubble. But this, in my eyes, this is the safest.
We have mid-block crossings in the middle of this straight line and we
Yeah.
have trouble at them.
Yeah, yeah. People do not stop
They don't.
for crosswalks.
I-
They don't
I've
even
been
stop
to
for a
one by the
crosswalk.
hospital, and you can't miss it now with all
Yeah.
the flashing lights and people
Still
don't stop.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
what mid-
that's my
You
concern.
can see them.
Do we want to put up a crossing there and have a kid get hit, and then we're like, God, we should have never done it? That's my concern. So, it's been a hot topic for a couple of years, probably, but that's kind of the take I have taken on
So I should stop riding my bike across the golf course.
it.
Did you say Wild Oak, was it?
No.
Does anybody got anything else? Is there anything you guys could think, and this is kind of off the agenda, but I know we've created some tools, some areas for fixing bikes, on our little stops along the trails or bike racks, things like that. Are there things we could do as a co-op to help, I guess, knowledge people or help get people more involved? I know we talked about that through the years.
More involvement. How?
In biking, using the trails, using the mountain bike trails. Yeah,
Well, I think having your paved trail out there is gonna get more people to see the single track trail. And I think that area will see a pretty dramatic increase in probably both bike and foot traffic. I think that by itself will probably see a decent
the only,
increase.
going on there, years ago, we created trailheads at a lot of our bike trails, and we added maps to them, but we need to probably update some of them.
we will when we get stuff done. That'll definitely happen.
Yeah, the trailhead, where would you put a trailhead for the Highway 37 project? On the north side of Spillway, where you got that park?
Right at the campground, right
Or
where.
at
I would think Kimmy Park.
Kitty Park,
Oh,
because you got parking
You
there.
got parking,
Yeah.
and I think that'd be a great spot.
That's closer to your house.
You're it.
Yeah.
That's what-
No, I think, like Clayton said, I think you put that cement in there, because like when I go with my wife, she doesn't want to go on the trail, she will, I'll just go up here and meet you
Oh, yeah.
down there. And so, I think that is really gonna be a great asset.
Because we'll be
Everybody wants
coming,
to go out around the lake and ride around the lake,
Yeah.
right?
we'll be kind of coming around here like this, coming down like this. around here, and then we'll come up, and
Oh,
the
yeah,
trail
that will be.
will be over here. Yeah. So, yeah, you'll have the parking lot right there, so that would be a good spot.
Yeah, that's a huge, that could be park's huge.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great place to have a, because we have the sign right on the.
We have the
Yeah,
trailhead
right
sign
there.
right
Yeah,
about there.
put a nice little
Yeah.
workstation there or whatever.
Yeah, that would be a good spot for it.
Yeah.
Would be.
Workstations are pretty cheap. I mean,
I do like the workstations you guys have been putting up around town at different sites.
they're,
Hey,
Well,
when you're done with that, I can give you one more thing for you to think about.
Before you do that, we'll talk a little bit about our Mitchell Main Street streetscape. So we're working on Third Street.
Okay.
It'll be this spring. We'll be working on that one, then, after that, we're gonna be moving down by Railroad Avenue and Main Street. And then second and fourth would be next year. We do have the same bike loops that MTI built, and those are all built, and we got them stored, and those will be at those locations, so.
There
Okay,
might be opportunities, I know you guys did the installation here at the Corn Palace, but on the south end of Main Street in front of the depot is gonna be more like another mini park bike setting there. That might be another endpoint for people that are coming down to the depot and the new brewery down there. So just something to keep in mind. It's gonna be pretty neat when they all come together.
Anything else?
okay, Dwight.
That road that dead ends at the depot will be closed, and that's gonna be green space.
Oh, yeah, I could see that, that was gonna happen. Okay. If you wanna show that. Okay. And then, well, I wanna talk about, we need to go to Sandy Beach. We have a trail that comes down a hill, and it just flat ends right into our trail. People don't use that with bicycles, they walk it, they don't use it with bicycles. So if we would take that trail and you extend it to the little parking lot that's between Sandy Beach and Camp Arroyo, that's roughly 1,500 feet. You extend that trail to Camp Arroyo, to that little parking lot above Camp Arroyo.
So you're saying east of the trees where those three loops?
You're gonna go right into the trees, we'll go right into the trees, and then go out by the lake, then there's an old road that ran through there.
Yep.
You're gonna run on that old road, and you would run right up, and it would bring you right up to where that little parking lot comes out to the
Yeah.
road, you'd be right there. If you kept going, then you would just stay fairly close to the road until you get over ways, and then you go right up on top of the hill. So it's off the road a little bit, you have this great view of the lake. If you continue on, you could come then back up to the road at that little parking lot above Camp Arroyo. Or if you want to continue on and go all the way down through Camp Arroyo and come out basically at Jerry Thompson's, so the very south part, that's about a mile, that'd be about a mile of trail. And I wheeled this the other day, so I know how far it is. And some of it you can't get through, but it'd be close. But that would extend that trail, and one of the things it would do is it would get you off. If you notice on North Harmon, the west part of North Harmon Drive, people drive that very fast. But once you hit North Harmon, what I call true North Harmon, that goes by the houses, what I notice, people don't drive that very fast. Not comparatively anyway. So now you're bringing it up, and you're taking them off the road there, you're bringing them through, you're connecting Sandy Beach to Camp Arroyo, and then you're connecting basically up to what I call true. Now, and there's another way, you could come up to the very end of, the intersection of Airport Road and North Harmon, but there's different options, or you can just do it in pieces. But it'd be a nice way of taking, so the people can use that trail, yet still get back to the road. Because what I see, the people that will use that trail will not bike up that little road that comes down into Sandy Beach. They just won't do it. And the people that ride the road hard, they just stay on the road. But it would really be a nice, and it would be, because you got a lot of people that walk that
That's my
area.
favorite place
And
to
that
walk
would
in the
just,
summer.
you take them into the trees, down by the lake. It'd be really,
And in the summer, the sunset's perfect from that location.
Oh,
It's
you-
beautiful, yeah.
the sunsets that you get off, because if you came, as you would come along
Park
from
on
the
Camp Arroyo and go down there.
that little parking lot above Camp Arroyo, follow right along the edge to the west, which is great sunsets. Now you come down, you're pretty close to the lake, brings you right into the campground, takes you right on through the campground. And if you stay what we call the lakeside trail, it keeps you, and you're right in all the suns, where the sunsets are, yeah.
It's really pretty there. There is a lot of people that walk that area.
So let's do this, we got some dry weather, let's walk it or bike it or whatever.
Oh, you're not biking where I'm talking about.
Or we'll,
It's a hike.
I want to flag it, let's hike it. I want to flag it, we'll locate it, and get it on a map.
I can, yeah, we'll flag it with.
Yeah.
We'll put ones in the, you have to have some, put some trees in.
Okay. We'll get it
Yeah,
located
also.
so we can put it on a map and we can talk about it some more.
Yeah,
That work?
yeah.
Okay.
But I've looked at this for a long time, Terry, just because of that trail just ends. And I love, and it will run only where I'm at, what I'm talking about. Again, we'd have to change some trail, but it will just extend and take out not very much natural surface trail. And then all of a sudden, you're running hard trail and natural surface trails together, so people can they choose. Won't be cheap. That one I do know.
But it might be easier for maybe the city to build that one, just to build it, and then we could use grant funds to pave it or whatever we decide to do there.
Right. Well, I'd volunteer to cut it out.
Or maybe you guys could build it.
We could,
Any idea what it is per 8 foot by, to do that cement? I know, you know, on a perfect grade, I mean, what's rough numbers, Terry? If it was graded, you just had to lay it.
6-inch cut,
Yeah.
is it $8 a square foot?
I was gonna say, no, you're probably,
do they have to, now, in that, when you have a double trail like that, 8 foot is the width, or do they?
It's,
If you're getting. like
it's
a-
8 foot on the south side, yes.
I'd say an 8 foot by
Yeah.
8 foot would be about $700.
Okay.
Yeah, that's close to $9 a square foot.
Okay.
The hard part, and it's not gonna be so bad with our trail going around the lake, but the hard part's gonna be paving it. Because some area, you can't drive a concrete truck there, it's gonna be pumped. And it's just gonna add a lot more time.
Well, there's carts. but that'd be a lot.
Yeah. Be time consuming.
Yeah.
but- All right. Is there anything else you guys wanna talk about?
I think we hit the ones that
Yeah.
I want.
You want to? When do you want to do the next trail meeting? Do you want to do another one this winter? Do you want to wait? Do one next?
How about in the spring?
Okay.
I mean, that's not that far off now. I mean, April's not that far off.
You want to just do one in April in 2 months?
So, let's go back to like, if we want to do some skills things. Okay, we brought it up. And I think there's some more talking that we need to do in our group, but is it to get approval to do it and stuff? Do we just come back to Kevin? And is that how, or what? What's the?
As long as it's not that approach coming through the cemetery, I think we're pretty good so far.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless you're talking about major trail work coming out of Camp Arroyo, that's.
we're talking, right now, we're just talking about like the skills things. We do have, I went and cut a bunch of stuff out where the trail got dipped
So-
like this so bad, so it was hard to walk on. We do have some trails that we need.
I guess the only thing I would say is I would want to make sure that nothing's going to get disrupted if the lake project moves forward, because they'll be moving things to the spoil side. I would hate for you to put work in and then, you know what I mean? So
Right,
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
No,
What's
I
that?
mean,
You
they're
won't
gonna,
go south of what, West Garden Drive, or South Garden Drive.
no, but right by the lake when they're bringing the spoil.
You're gonna be
I mean,
crossing
there's
the lake.
gonna-
Drive
There's gonna be
across it.
construction traffic coming out of the lake there over the spoil site. So I mean.
Will they
I
come
just-
up right up Windy Point?
I don't know where that is.
that'd be my guess.
So that's the only thing I would say, that maybe you just want to hold tight for a little bit, and I don't know if any of the jetty work would disrupt that area. I know that's not where the jetty goes in,
Right.
but as they're moving that, you know, it depends on if we're doing the lake and the lake's dry, then it's easier for them to construct, but if not,
Yeah,
they
that's-
might be crossing some of those areas. So you just might not want to make the investment until we know we're good to go.
Thousands of tons of rock.
Unless it's dry, then they're gonna do it like dirt.
Do what?
Right, well, April.
Yeah, May,
Yeah.
no, actually June, yeah, June is when
June.
the election is.
Election.
Is it the same time, what is it?
So during the primary election,
Oh,
so.
okay, okay. Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, the city holds our elections with the school and county always on the primary date, so it'll be on that ballot. So I just would hate to see somebody put a bunch of work in and then
Yeah.
just have to damage it for some reason, so.
I always thought that the natural points to pull out of the lake would be off Windy Point, which would be right there, because it's graded already, and of course, up the boat ramp.
Yeah, I just
Right.
don't know where they would plan that, I just wanna make sure you don't,
So what do we do with concrete? You bury it under 3 feet after, you put it all in and then bury it so it can be taken
Yeah.
over?
Yeah.
but the dirt isn't as sustainable, like the dirt tracks or that.
Right.
So that was all. Not to discourage, I just wanted to
No.
make sure that you guys know,
Good idea.
make sure we know where we're going before your stuff is.
But a guy can have it all marked out
Yeah,
and go ahead as soon as you know what's gonna happen, I guess.
Right.
I suppose you wouldn't know right away, you know, say it passes, you wouldn't know right away where your points of crossing would be.
if it passes, I thought Jeff
There's-
said it would be moving pretty,
Yeah.
they gotta do the final design, but I mean, the intention would be you're starting in the next year.
I think there'd be some good guidelines
Yeah,
that
we
we
would
could
have
give,
an idea.
you know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Those are engineers that decide that,
Yeah.
so I know, and sometimes they tell us where it goes, and we don't have a choice.
And that's-
That's what I know.
And that's the.
So it's an engineer, so it's gonna go right in the middle.
They're better than I
I know how
We'll have to
this,
put a bunch more bridges in.
yeah, I know, that's, Jane would want more bridges, so.
Yeah, it's,
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
That's-
no, I think